White Day, Sugawara Koushi. Over the course of the past weeks, you and Sugawara had grown considerably close to one another. The tutoring continued, not that you needed it anymore, and hanging out on the weekends became the new norm for the two of you, so often that Daichi and Asahi regularly teased the both of you for acting like an old married couple, despite not being in an official relationship yet. Their casual taunts and remarks always made you blush, but Sugawara had a way of giving them a certain look, and they were quick to bite their tongues. Although you hadn't said anything, you were secretly looking forward to White Day. This year, it fell on the third year's graduation day, a day that harbored mixed feelings in your heart. You knew you should be proud and celebrate Sugawara's accomplishments as a future graduate, but that meant the inevitable that kept the two of you from formally taking the next step in your relationship with one another would become real as well. Graduation day was to be a final farewell for many of them, but could you really do that for Sugawara? Unbeknownst to you, you weren't the only one who felt an inner turmoil when it came to thinking about graduation. The night before that fateful day, gathered in Daichi's room for the last night of their high school careers, Asahi, Sugawara, and Daichi sat in a circle surrounded by snacks and nostalgic memories. The three of them reflected on the past up to now. It's really been 3 years, wow. Asahi sighed, leaning back against Daichi's bed with his knees drawn to his chest. Sugawara empathetically chuckled softly. Time really does fly. We'll be graduates by this time tomorrow. You gonna be okay, Suga? Daichi asked, subtly hinting at the elephant in the room. At some point, Sugawara knew he would have to talk about that, a topic he skillfully avoided since he was still working it out within himself. The best course of action. He didn't want to hurt you. His eyes darted between Daichi and Asahi, both appearing slightly worried. He gave them a half-hearted smile. No, I feel like no matter what I do, I'll hurt them. Have the two of you talked about what will happen after graduation? Asahi asked. Sugawara shook his head. No, it never came up. I think both of us were just trying to spend time together lightheartedly and in the moment. As if connected by a single breath, Daichi and Asahi exhaled simultaneously. The situation looked grim. Daichi then had to know. Are you at least certain of your feelings, Suga? You aren't stringing them along. What do you take me for? Sugawara's eyes narrowed, but then his expression softened. Truthfully, I do like them. I like them a lot, so that's why I've been cautious up until now. Originally, I didn't want to hurt them, since I won't be able to be there for them every day while I'm at university, and they're still at Krasno. But I think we're both too far gone for that. Obviously, Daichi remarked. Sugawara let it slide. So, tomorrow, I want to do something to change that slightly. Asahi gasped, with panicked eyes and a frantic tone. You don't mean break up with them, right? He was more invested in the development of the relationship between the two of you than anyone else. Scooting over to the floor to be closer to Asahi, Sugawara pinched his side. We aren't even going out to begin with, Asahi, so I can't exactly break up with them, and I would have no intentions to do so anyway. Asahi rubbed the sore spot on his side and pouted slightly. The two of you are pretty much a thing if you ask me. He whispered bitterly under his breath. Of course, Sugawara heard him. Relax, I have a plan to make things right tomorrow. It won't be much, but it's the most sentimental thing I can do for now. Though Sugawara had never given the two of them a reason to doubt him, Daichi was still not convinced that the matter at hand would be resolved in tomorrow's chaos of graduation. He skeptically eyed Sugawara. I'm not sure what cryptic meaning is behind your words, Suga, but if you think it's the best choice, then it can't be wrong. Oh, it definitely can. Remember when Asahi couldn't finish his sentence? He had yelped in pain once again from another pinch to his side. That time, it was harder than the first, and Sugawara merely kept smiling at Daichi. Thank you for believing in me. It'll be my non-traditional response for White Day, but my intentions are the same. As if Daichi had just remembered an important detail. Ah, that's right. It's White Day tomorrow. Sore and jaded, Asahi grimaced. I don't see how that justifies anything. Sugawara flashed him a warm grin. You'll see tomorrow. Or maybe I should say, it's something you won't see. Both Daichi and Asahi opened their mouths as if to ask what Sugawara could be hinting at now, but the two refrained, using their better judgment. If Sugawara wanted to tell the two of them explicitly what he was planning, he would have. He had always been an honest person, so when he deliberately chose to be a bit secretive, the two let him have his fun. They didn't want to ruin his mood with their pestering questions. The next afternoon, March 14th, the courtyard of Krasno High School was brimming with a zealous but melancholy atmosphere. The graduates had filed out of the gym with their congratulatory ribbons pinned above their left breast pocket and diplomas encased in its protective tube in their hands. Family members and their fellow underclassmen were ready to greet them with tear-studded eyes and cameras. It was a space filled with laughter, crying, camera shutters, cheers, and more that resonated throughout the campus. It wasn't long before the 4 third-year graduates of the volleyball club were surrounded by their fellow club members to bid them farewell. Enveloped in the hectic festivities, Daichi caught a glimpse of Sugawara constantly trying his best to peer over the crowd, looking for someone. You. He turned his head and asked, Have you met up with him yet? He knew the answer already. Sugawara shook his head, looking a bit discouraged that he couldn't spot you anywhere. No, not yet, but hopefully I'll find them soon. Curiosity nipped away at Daichi's better interest, and he just had to know. What are you going to give them? Sugawara angled himself to face Daichi and pointed at his chest, saying nothing and hoped his gesture and proud smile would be enough. It wasn't. Daichi was dumbfounded at what he should be looking at. Asahi had been listening, and he too squinted to see what Sugawara had meant. Leaning in for a better view, though Asahi was slow to catch on today it took him only a matter of a few seconds for him to piece together the clues. His eyes flew wide open the moment he figured it out, and he straightened his posture once again, causing Daichi to give his attention to Asahi's strange reaction. Sugawara's smile grew, and he put a finger to his lips. Shh. He winked. Daichi flitted his gaze between the two of them, lost. I don't get it. What am I supposed to be looking at? It's not what you're looking at, but the lack of it. Sugawara explained, reaching into his pocket to pull out a small object, holding his palm flat for Daichi to see. In the center lay a small uniform button. Not even then did Daichi immediately catch on to the object's significance. It took several back-and-forth glances between the button and the missing space on Sugawara's uniform until he put two and two together. Once he did, he felt a little embarrassed for how long it took him. Daichi put a hand on Sugawara's shoulder. I wish you the best, he said fondly, a huge grin plastered on his face. Chizumu, having witnessed the entire exchange from the background, gave her own silent approval, a thumbs-up sign to Sugawara. She, too, wished him the best of intentions, in a way unique to her. Sugawara smiled at both of them, and just as he was about to offer his appreciation and go off in search of you, that was when he heard something. Sugawara-senpai! His face lit up as he intently scanned the crowd in the direction of your voice. Your voice and face he was able to locate in seconds. You made eye contact with him and hurried over even faster, pushing through the crowd of people standing in your way. At full speed, When the path was clear, you sprinted for him and carelessly threw yourself at him, arms wrapping around his neck. By miracle, he caught you, but needed to take several steps back. His arms were tightly holding you steady around your waist. Not an inch of space could separate the two of you. In the safety of his grasp, you rested there for a few skips of your heartbeat. Once, semi-collected, you whispered softly next to his ear, "Congratulations," choking back tears. You felt him give you a slight squeeze. "Thank you," he whispered back. Sugawara moved back slightly to look you in the eyes. Your eyes that were watering with tears. With a blink, one spilled down your cheek, even though you were smiling. You sniffled, but before you could move your hand to wipe away the stain, Sugawara had cupped a hand to your cheek, brushing it away with his thumb. His smile wasn't as bright as you remembered it to be. It was so sodden with the complexities of the day. He gently kept rubbing his thumb against your cheek, gazing longingly into your eyes. "It's a bittersweet day. I'm happy to be moving on to the next chapter of my life, but that also means I won't be able to be at your side quite as conveniently as before." You shook your head. "You have dreams and aspirations too, Suga." Sugawara chuckled, hearing you call him for the first time without using senpai. He had already graduated, he supposed. Your smile deepened, and I can't wait to watch you achieve them. It must have been an ability only you possessed, the knowledge to make him swoon like crazy. Sugawara dropped his head, unable to look you in the eyes. He felt his face becoming warmer by the second and his smile crazed. It took him a single breath, but then he lifted his head once again. "Thank you. I know this isn't the most ideal situation, but as a token of my appreciation for you, I'd like to give you something." His hands fell from your waist, and you, too, dropped your arms from around his neck. His hand fished into his pocket, only for him to show you his closed fist. "Hold out your hand," he said, and you did as told, palm side up. Encasing your hand between his, you felt a small, light object drop into your palm, then his hand closing yours into a fist. He let go and you stared at your hand, almost too afraid to open it and see what had been placed there. Your eyes flicker up to his face and you see that Sugawara is giving you an encouraging smile. He wants you to open your hand. You do so, and there you recognize the object to be a button, a uniform button. It took one more look at Sugawara for you to understand its significance. There was a missing detail on his uniform. For how long, you had no idea. His second button from his coat had been removed, and now sat delicately in your palm. It was about the same size, maybe a bit smaller than a quarter, but it felt as large as the ocean of feelings you harbored for Sugawara deep within your heart, and it caused ripples along the surface that turned to tidal waves thrashing from every direction inside of you. The only clues of the overbearing storm that raged inside was the tremor in your bottom lip and the tears that began to well in your eyes. Sugawara clasped his hands around yours once again, shielding the button. He fondly held your blurring gaze. "I know I can't be here with you in person, but if you keep this safe for me, then a small part of me will always be by your side." It wasn't just you that was in tears. The two of you had an audience. As silently as they could, the members of the volleyball club hung on to every word that passed both of your lips, and most were sniffling messes, most affected, wiping their noses and eyes frequently. Tanaka, Hinata, and Asahi, who had his phone out and had been filming the entire thing. Hinata was a blubbering mess, unable to keep up with the rate at which his tears fell. "This is so cute," he cried. Both you and Sugawara chuckled. Hinata's emotions helped you to control yours. You sniffled one last time and nodded. "I'll treasure it. Thank you, Suga," giving him a wide grin. Still holding your hand in his, Sugawara gave them a thoughtful squeeze. He wasn't done. He took a breath, and his expression became a bit more serious. "I'm glad. Since you've accepted this, since you've accepted it, I hope this means you're also willing to officially be my partner as well." "He said it!" Nishinoya screamed, violently jumping for joy as he clung onto Asahi's arm. The recording was no longer being steady. The recording would no longer be steady. A chorus of cheers from the volleyball club echoed Nishinoya's excitement. Sugawara was smiling, but he was waiting for your response, growing more nervous the more seconds passed. He had said the words you had only dreamed of until then. Stunned was an understatement. Your lips fumbled to form the right shapes to say one simple word. Instead of stuttering or choking on syllables, you opted to just nod really fast. It conveyed the same message. Sugawara looked relieved, and his first reaction was to pull you in quickly for another hug. His arms wrapped around you, a hand around your lower back, and one cradling the back of your head that pressed your forehead against his shoulder. You weren't able to move your hands fast enough, and they were caught between your bodies, firmly clasped together and pressed against Sugawara's chest, on the space that the button used to occupy near his heart. They held you protectively. You were officially his priority, his biggest reason to safeguard from any harm. The distance between the two of you was non-existent. You could feel every rise and fall of his chest, and even feel his heart racing through your fists pressed against the area above his heart. Despite all the onlookers, that moment belonged to only the two of you. Sugawara lowered his head slightly to bring his lips near your ear as he breathlessly whispered, "I know I should have asked you sooner, but I wouldn't trade this moment for the world." He made your heart flutter more than the petals in the breeze that afternoon. Hello, and hi everyone. So welcome back. I hope you guys enjoyed this Sugawara story. I definitely did, because in the beginning of watching Haiku, Sugawara was one of my favorites. I think I just zeroed in on him. I don't know what it was, but I don't know, something just pulled me toward him, and I have never left him since. That is my husband and will always be my husband. Let me know your haiku crush in the comments below, or if you have one, because I know some people don't really like any of the guys or girls. Yeah, have an amazing morning, have an amazing afternoon, have an amazing evening, whenever you are, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye, everyone!